I was staring at my phone when the locks clicked. All of them. At once. The front door. The side entrance. Even the garage. My apartment building's smart lock system had just locked me out, and through the lobby glass I could see my roommate Maya inside, laughing with her boyfriend while they ate the birthday cake I'd baked for myself that morning. It was 9 p.m. on my 27th birthday. The temperature had just dropped to 19 degrees. And I was standing outside in yoga pants and a tank top because I'd only gone down to grab a package. Maya's voice came through her AirPods, loud enough for me to hear through the glass. Yeah, she's so dramatic. She'll figure it out. Let me back up. My name is Zoe. I moved to Chicago 3 years ago for a junior analyst position at a consulting firm. The pay was terrible, the hours were worse, but I told myself it was temporary. Build experience. Make connections. Move up. My boss, Richard Chen, had other plans. For 2 years, I'd worked directly under him. He was 43, married with 2 kids, and had a reputation as a tough but fair mentor. What that actually meant, he took credit for my work, blamed me for his mistakes, and made sure I stayed late enough that I'd miss any networking events where I might meet someone who could help me leave. 6 months ago, he hired his niece, fresh out of college. No experience. Her name was Sophia, and within a week, she had the office next to his, the good clients, and access to the executive floor I'd been trying to reach for years. I didn't complain. I kept my head down. I worked harder. Then 3 weeks ago, I got my shot. The Sterling account. A pharmaceutical company looking to restructure their entire marketing strategy. Richard called me into his office and said, "This one's yours, Zoe, prove you're ready." I worked 90-hour weeks. I canceled plans. I ate lunch at my desk. I built a presentation that wasn't just good, it was revolutionary. Data-driven, creative, backed by 18 months of industry research I'd been compiling on my own time. The presentation was scheduled for tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. The Sterling executives would be flying in from Boston. Richard had promised that if they signed, I'd be promoted to senior analyst. Maybe even fast-tracked to associate. Yesterday, Richard called me into his office. He looked uncomfortable. "Zoe, I need you to walk Sophia through the presentation. She's going to deliver it." I felt the blood drain from my face. What? The client specifically requested a younger presenter. Fresh perspective. You understand. I've been working on this for 3 weeks, and your work will be recognized internally. But Sophia has the right energy for this. Don't make this difficult. I should have fought harder. I should have gone to HR. I should have done a lot of things. But I was 27 and scared of losing the only job I had in a city where I knew almost no one. So I said, okay. Last night, I stayed late to brief Sophia. She barely took notes. She kept checking her phone. At one point, she looked at me and said, "This is a lot of information. Can you just email me the key points?" I did. Then I went home. This morning, I woke up to an email from IT. "Your building access has been temporarily suspended due to a security audit. Please contact your supervisor." I called Richard. Voicemail. I called IT. They said Richard had flagged my account for unusual activity, downloading sensitive files. They'd reactivate my access after an investigation, but it would take 48 hours. I knew exactly what had happened. Sophia had sent the presentation to her personal email. IT had caught it. And Richard had blamed me. I spent the day calling, emailing, trying to reach anyone who could fix this. Nothing. At 6 p.m., I went to the office building anyway. Maybe I could explain in person. But my badge didn't work. Through the lobby glass, I could see Sophia in the conference room, practicing my presentation with Richard coaching her. I knocked on the glass. Richard looked up, saw me, and pulled the blinds. That's when I broke. I sat on the sidewalk outside the building and cried. 27 years old, 3 years of my life poured into a company that had just locked me out and stolen my work. My roommate Maya had been getting increasingly annoyed with me. I worked too much. I never went out. I was boring. 2 weeks ago, she'd started dating Travis, a bartender who basically lived in our apartment now. They'd taken over the living room, the kitchen, even my bathroom sometimes. This morning, I'd left a note asking them to please keep it down tonight because I needed sleep before my big presentation. Instead, they'd thrown a party. When I texted Maya asking her to please stop, she'd replied, "It's not even that loud. Stop being so uptight." I'd baked myself a birthday cake before going to check the mail. German chocolate, my favorite, because I knew no one else would remember. Now I was locked out, watching them eat it through the window. I pulled my coat tighter. I'd grabbed it on instinct when I went to get my package, thank God, but it wasn't enough. 19 degrees and dropping. My phone was at 12%. I called Maya. She declined. I texted, "Maya, please. I'm locked out. It's freezing." 3 dots. Then, "The lobby's open until 10. Wait there. We're busy." I looked at the lobby door. Also locked. The building had updated to a smart system last month, and apparently when one lock failed, they all did. I had nowhere to go. My car was in the garage, also inaccessible. My credit cards were upstairs in my wallet. My closest friend in Chicago, Emma, was in Seattle for work. I sat on the front steps and tried not to panic. That's when the headlights turned the corner. A black Audi SUV, sleek and expensive, pulled up in front of my building. The window rolled down. Zoe? I blinked. The voice was familiar, but I couldn't place it. A woman, maybe 60, with silver hair cut in a sharp bob and wearing a charcoal wool coat that probably cost more than my rent. Then it clicked. Miss Patricia Vance? She smiled. You can call me Patricia. Get in. You look frozen. Patricia Vance had been my professor in college. Business strategy, senior year. She was a legend, a former VP at a Fortune 500 company who'd retired early and started teaching. She was tough, brilliant, and didn't tolerate excuses. I'd worked harder in her class than any other. After graduation, we'd stayed loosely in touch. She'd written my recommendation for the consulting job. We'd had coffee once or twice when she visited Chicago, but I hadn't seen her in over a year. What are you doing here? I asked, climbing into the car. The heat was on full blast. I almost cried with relief. I was having dinner nearby. Saw you sitting outside. Are you locked out? It's a long story. I have time. So I told her. About Richard. About Sophia. About the Sterling presentation. About IT locking my account and watching them steal my work. About Maya and the party and the birthday cake. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Do you still have access to your work email on your phone?" I think so. IT only locked my building access. Check. I opened my phone. My email still worked. Forward me the original presentation. All your research files. Everything. Why? She looked at me. Because I'm on the Sterling Pharmaceuticals board of directors. I'm in the meeting tomorrow morning. And I'd very much like to see what you've built. I stared at her. Your... What? The Sterling account? I've been consulting for them for 6 months. They asked me to sit in on finalist presentations. Your firm is one of 3 they're considering. She paused. Now forward me those files. My hands were shaking. I forwarded everything. The presentation. The research. The original proposal I drafted before Richard made me water it down. Patricia spent 15 minutes scrolling through her phone, reading. Finally, she looked up. This is exceptional work, Zoe. This isn't just good. This is the kind of thinking that redefines an industry. Richard said it needed to be simpler. Richard is an idiot. She said it matter-of-factly, like she was commenting on the weather. He's also been on thin ice for months. The partners know he's coasting. They've been looking for a reason. I didn't know that. Of course you didn't. He made sure of it. She tapped her phone. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. The presentation. Can you be there? My access is suspended. Not anymore. I'm emailing the managing partner right now. By the time we're done, you'll have full building access and an executive escort. I don't understand. Patricia smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who'd spent 40 years in boardrooms and knew exactly how to dismantle a person's career. Richard made a mistake. He locked out the person who actually did the work and gave credit to his unqualified niece. That's not just unethical, it's liability. If Sterling signs and later discovers their strategy was built by someone other than who presented it. Lawsuit. Reputation damage, loss of client. So what happens? Tomorrow morning, you walk into that meeting. You present your work. Sophia can watch. So can Richard. And when Sterling asks who built this strategy, we'll all tell the truth. I felt something shift in my chest. Not quite hope. Something harder. What if the partners don't believe me? I have your emails. Timestamps. Version histories. Richard's been sloppy. He's left a trail. She paused. But more importantly, I believe you. And I sit on 3 other boards with 2 of your firm's partners. My word carries weight. We sat in the car for a moment. Then Patricia said, "Where were you planning to sleep tonight?" I was going to try to find a hotel. Without your wallet? I'd forgotten. I guess I wasn't planning anything. You're staying with me. I have a guest room. We'll order dinner, prep for tomorrow, and make sure you're ready. I can't ask you to do that. You didn't ask. I offered. There's a difference. She put the car in drive. And Zoe? Happy birthday. I started crying then. Not sad crying. Something else. Relief, maybe. Or the feeling of being seen after 3 years of being invisible. Patricia didn't comment. She just drove. Her apartment was in the Gold Coast, a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. It was the kind of place I'd maybe see in a magazine. Minimalist, elegant, clearly expensive but not showy. She ordered Thai food, set me up in the guest room with fresh clothes, and let me shower. When I came out, she had my presentation pulled up on her massive TV screen. "Walk me through it," she said. So I did. For the next 2 hours, we went slide by slide. Patricia asked questions, pushed back on assumptions, made me defend every choice. It was like being back in her classroom, except this time the stakes were my entire career. By midnight, the presentation was tighter, sharper, better. Patricia leaned back. "You're ready. What if they still give it to Sophia?" "They won't. But if they do, you'll have options. I'm on the board at 2 other consulting firms. Both are hiring. Both pay better than where you are now. Why are you doing this?" She looked at me for a long moment. "Because 25 years ago, I was you. Different city, different industry, same story. A man took credit for my work, locked me out when I tried to fight back, and I had no one to help me." She paused. "I spent 5 years clawing my way back. I don't want you to lose 5 years. What happened to him? He's retired now. Comfortable. Happy. I made sure he never worked in the industry again, but it took too long." She smiled. "I've gotten better at it since then. I slept better that night than I had in months." The next morning, Patricia drove me to the office. It was 7:30 a.m. The Sterling executives wouldn't arrive until 8, but Patricia wanted me there early. My badge worked. Patricia had been thorough. We walked through the lobby, into the elevator, up to the 14th floor where the executive conference rooms were. Richard was already there, coaching Sophia. She was wearing a navy suit that looked expensive. Richard looked confident. They both froze when they saw me. "Zoe?" Richard's face went pale. "What are you doing here?" "Your access was suspended." "It's been reinstated," Patricia said calmly. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't have to. Richard's eyes went wide. "Miss Vance, I didn't know you were. I mean, we weren't expecting. I'm on the Sterling board. I'll be observing this morning." She turned to Sophia. "You're presenting today?" Sophia nodded, looking uncertain. "And you built the strategy we'll be reviewing?" Sophia glanced at Richard. I worked on it with the team." "The team," Patricia repeated. She looked at Richard. "Who specifically?" Richard cleared his throat. "It was a collaborative effort. Sophia took the lead on synthesis and presentation." "I see." Patricia pulled out her phone. "I've been reviewing the materials. Very impressive work. I had some technical questions about the pharmaceutical compliance section. Sophia, can you walk me through your approach to FDA regulation strategy?" Sophia's face went blank. I'd have to look at my notes." "Of course." Patricia smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "And the market segmentation model on slide 17. That's a modified cluster analysis, correct? What variables did you prioritize?" "I'm not sure Zoe," Patricia turned to me. "You're familiar with this work?" Richard stepped forward. "Miss Vance, with all respect, Zoe was part of the support team, but Sophia was the strategic lead." "Really?" Patricia's voice was flat. She pulled out her tablet, turned it to face Richard. "These are the metadata records for every file in the presentation. Creation dates. Edit logs. Email trails. According to this, Zoe created every single slide. Sophia's only contribution was receiving the files yesterday at 6:47 p.m. The room went silent. Richard's mouth opened. Closed. "There must be some mistake." "There is." "You made it." Patricia looked at him like he was something stuck to her shoe. "You locked an employee out of the building, falsely flagged her account for security violations, and stole her work to give to your niece. That's not just unethical, it's potentially illegal." The color drained from Richard's face. The conference room door opened. 3 Sterling executives walked in, followed by 2 of the consulting firm's senior partners. Patricia smiled. "Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Before we begin, there's been a change to this morning's agenda." One of the partners, David Morrison, looked confused. "A change?" "Sophia will not be presenting. Zoe will. She's the actual strategist behind this work." Patricia gestured to me. "Zoe, whenever you're ready." I looked at Richard. He was staring at the floor. I looked at Sophia. She was crying quietly. I looked at Patricia. She nodded. I walked to the front of the room, connected my laptop to the screen, and began. I presented for 40 minutes. I knew every slide, every data point, every assumption. When the Sterling executives asked questions, I answered them. When they pushed back, I defended my choices. When they asked me to think on the spot, I did. It was the best presentation of my life. When I finished, the room was quiet. Then one of the Sterling executives, an older woman named Dr. Helen Torres, started clapping. Slowly, the others joined in. Dr. Torres looked at David Morrison. We'd like to move forward with your firm. But only if Zoe is the lead strategist on our account. David nodded, glancing nervously at Patricia. Of course. Absolutely. Dr. Torres turned to me. You have a gift for this. Don't let anyone take it from you again. The meeting ended. The Sterling executives left. The partners asked Richard and Sophia to stay. Patricia and I walked out together. In the hallway, she stopped. What happens now? I asked. Richard will be terminated. Probably today. Sophia will be reassigned or let go, depending on how much she knew. Patricia paused. You'll be promoted. Probably to associate, maybe senior analyst. The partners will want to make this right. And if they don't? She handed me a business card. Call me. I meant what I said about options. I looked at the card. Patricia Vance, Senior Advisor. 3 company names listed below, all firms I'd heard of, all prestigious. Thank you, I said. For everything. Don't thank me. You did the work. I just made sure the right people saw it. She smiled. Though next time, maybe set better boundaries before it comes to this. She was right. I'd let Richard walk over me for 2 years because I was scared of losing my job. I'd let Maya treat me like an inconvenience because I didn't want to rock the boat. I will, I said. Patricia started to walk away, then stopped. One more thing. Your roommate's situation. That's not sustainable. I know. I'll start looking for a new place. I have a property in Lincoln Park. 2-bedroom condo. My son used to live there, but he moved to New York. It's sitting empty. You can have it for what you're paying now. I blinked. That's way below market rate. Consider it an investment. I like investing in people who don't give up. She pulled out her keys, removed one, handed it to me. Move in whenever you're ready. First month free. Before I could respond, she was gone, heels clicking down the hallway. I stood there for a moment, holding the key. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Maya, where are you? You missed the party last night. I looked at the message. Then I blocked her number. I walked back to my desk. My real desk, with my nameplate, in the bullpen with the other analysts. My computer was already logged in. IT had restored everything. I had 63 emails. Most were from colleagues congratulating me. 3 were from reporters who'd somehow heard about the Sterling pitch. 1 was from David Morrison. My office. 10 a.m. At 10 a.m., I walked into David's office. He was there with the other senior partner, Margaret Chen. David gestured to a chair. Sit. Please. I sat. Margaret spoke first. We owe you an apology. What happened with Richard was unacceptable. It should never have gotten this far. We're promoting you to senior analyst, effective immediately, David said. 20% raise. You'll lead the Sterling account. You'll also have your pick of junior analysts to build a team. And Richard? I asked. Terminated. We've already notified HR and legal. He'll be escorted out this afternoon. David paused. Sophia has been let go as well. She's young, and we believe Richard manipulated her, but the firm can't afford the liability. I felt something twist in my stomach. Sophia had been complicit, yes, but she was also 22 and probably terrified of her uncle. What about references? I asked. For Sophia. Margaret looked surprised. You're advocating for her? She made a mistake. She's young. I don't want her entire career ruined because of Richard. I paused. But she shouldn't be in strategy. Maybe something else. David and Margaret exchanged glances. Margaret nodded. We'll figure something out. You're more gracious than I would be. Maybe. Or maybe I just knew what it felt like to be used by someone with power, and I didn't want to become the kind of person who destroyed people when I finally had some. One more thing, David said. Patricia Vance spoke very highly of you. She's offered to mentor you personally. That's a significant opportunity. I know. Don't waste it. I won't. I walked out of that office as a senior analyst with a team, a major account, and a mentor who'd just dismantled my former boss's entire career in under 12 hours. That night, I went back to my apartment. Maya and Travis were on the couch, watching TV. Maya looked up. Oh, you're back. Where were you? Changing my life. I walked to my room, started packing. What are you doing? Moving out. Today. Maya stood up. You can't just leave. We have a lease. Check the lease. My name's not on it. You added me as a subletter. I checked that morning just to be sure. I'll pay through the end of the month. After that, you're on your own. You're such a bitch. I stopped packing, turned to look at her. Maybe. But I'm a bitch with my own place, my own career, and my own birthday cake. I zipped my suitcase. Good luck with the rent. I called an Uber, loaded my stuff, and left. Patricia's condo was beautiful. Hardwood floors, granite counters, a view of the park. It was empty but clean, ready for furniture. I sat on the floor in the living room and cried. Not sad tears. Relief tears. The kind of crying you do when you've been holding your breath for years and finally let go. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma, my friend in Seattle. I heard what happened. You're a badass. Call me. Another text from Patricia. Settling in? Let me know if you need anything. Also, Sterling wants to move forward. You start Monday. I replied, thank you, for everything. She sent back one word, earned. And maybe that was the truth. Maybe I had earned it. Not by being perfect or by never making mistakes, but by doing the work, by not giving up, by being in the right place when someone finally saw me. 6 months later, the Sterling account had grown into 3 more pharmaceutical clients. My team had expanded to 5 analysts. Richard had taken a job at a smaller firm in Ohio, a significant step down. Sophia had found work in HR at a nonprofit. She'd sent me an apology email, which I'd accepted. Maya had moved back to Indiana after failing to make rent. I'd heard through mutual friends that she blamed me for abandoning her. I didn't lose sleep over it. Patricia and I had coffee every other week. She introduced me to people, taught me how to negotiate, how to recognize when someone was using me versus when someone was mentoring me. She was tough, exacting, and never let me settle for less than my best work. Last month, one of the firms on her business card offered me an associate position. Better title, better pay, better trajectory. I accepted. On my last day at the old firm, David Morrison called me into his office. We're sorry to lose you, he said. But I understand why you're leaving. It's the right move for my career. It is. He paused. For what it's worth, what happened with Richard? That changed things here. We've implemented new oversight protocols. It won't happen again. Good. He stood, shook my hand. You're going to be great, Zoe. Just remember where you came from. I smiled. I don't think I could forget. That night, Patricia took me to dinner. A quiet restaurant in the Loop, the kind of place where senators and CEOs made deals over wine that cost more than my old monthly rent. Proud of you, Patricia said, raising her glass. I raised mine. I couldn't have done it without you. You could have. It would have taken longer, and it would have hurt more, but you would have done it. She paused. You have something a lot of people don't. You're willing to do the work, even when no one's watching. Even when you don't get credit. That's rare. It didn't feel rare. It felt like survival. It was both. She set down her glass. You know why I helped you that night? You said you saw yourself in me. That's part of it. But the real reason? She smiled. I was coming from a board meeting where a man very much like Richard tried to take credit for a woman's work. I just spent 2 hours dismantling his credibility. When I saw you sitting outside in the cold, locked out by people who didn't value you, I thought, not again. Not if I can help it. So you've done this before? A few times. When the situation warrants it. She leaned back. There are a lot of Richards in the world, Zoe. And there are a lot of young women who are brilliant and scared and don't realize they have options. Sometimes they just need someone to open a door. You didn't just open a door. You kicked it down. She laughed. I prefer strategically dismantled. It sounds more professional. We finished dinner. Patricia drove me home, to the condo that was now actually mine, that I just signed a lease for at fair market rate because I could afford it now. Before I got out of the car, she said, one last piece of advice. What's that? Don't become a Richard. You're going to have power now, real power. Use it to lift people up, not push them down. Be the person you needed when you were locked outside in the cold. I nodded. I will. Good. She smiled. Now go celebrate. You've earned it. I got out of the car, watched her drive away, and walked into my building. My building, where my name was on the lease, where I had heat and safety and control over my own locks. I thought about Richard, about Maya, about all the people who'd made me feel small. And I thought about Patricia, about Emma, about the Sterling executives who'd believed in me. The difference wasn't talent or luck. The difference was people who saw potential and chose to nurture it versus people who saw potential and chose to exploit it. I'd spent 3 years being exploited. Now I had a chance to be someone who nurtured. I wasn't going to waste it. 3 years later, I'm a partner at the firm Patricia recommended. I have my own team, my own clients, my own reputation. I've helped 5 junior analysts leave toxic situations and find better opportunities. I've called out 2 Richards and watched them face consequences. And every time I feel tired, every time I wonder if it's worth it to stand up for someone else, I think about that night. 19 degrees. Locked outside. Watching people eat my birthday cake through a window. And I think about the black Audi that pulled up, the woman who saw me and decided to help, and the word she used when I thanked her months later. Earned. Everything I have now, I earned. But I earned it because someone gave me a chance when I had nothing left. Now it's my turn to be the person who pulls up in the black car. It's my turn to be the one who sees someone in the cold and says, get in. It's my turn to open doors. Because that's what Patricia taught me. Power isn't about what you take. It's about what you build. And the strongest thing you can build is a ladder for someone else to climb. So that's what I do. And every time I help someone, every time I see them stand up and claim what they've earned, I think of Patricia. And I think of that one word she gave me, the word that changed everything. Earned.